Okay, thank you, Madam Secretary. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Executive Committee of the State Bar Board of Trustees. I'll call this meeting to order and hit the gavel. I think this might be the first time I've done this. At 3:08 p.m. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. May I have the roll call, please?
Chen,
Here.
Cisneros,
Here.
Delenn,
Here.
Duran,
Here.
Sol,
Present.
Stallings.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. We're going to move on to public comment. This is the portion of the meeting where members of the public have the opportunity to address the Executive Committee on any item on the agenda or any item within the Executive Committee's jurisdiction. Madam Secretary, do we have anybody indicating an interest to speak to the Executive Committee?
I see one hand raised at the moment. Nick Migliaccio.
Okay, great. Mr. Migliaccio, I apologize for doing that to your name. Once your microphone is enabled, you have 3 minutes to address the board.
Your mic has been enabled and you should be able to address the committee.
Are you able to hear me?
We can.
Perfect. My name is Nick Migliaccio. I'm the present chairperson of the Mandatory Fee Arbitration Program at the Long Beach Bar Association. My program has 2 items on your agenda today. The first is the proposed rules for the creation of a mediation program to which there are no objections. The second is our proposed revised rules for the mandatory fee arbitration program we conduct. There are no objections by the State Bar staff except to our desire to increase our ability to handle matters originating in Orange County or involving Orange County attorneys. To give you some perspective, at times, Los Angeles County has up to 7 local programs that provide mandatory fee arbitration programs. Thus, a person in Los Angeles County who has a fee dispute can access one of those 7 programs for resolution. In stark contrast, nearby Orange County has only 1 program, and that is the one provided by the Orange County Bar Association. The Orange County border is approximately 3 miles from our office. All of its courts are less than 30 miles away. I've already provided a detailed letter to the RAD on July 14, explaining the benefits of allowing our program to handle matters originating in Orange County. But I'd like to highlight the most significant one here today. The overriding, if not sole reason for our wanting to handle those matters is to increase the public's access to justice. Our mission statement at the Long Beach Bar Association, I submit to you that of the State Bar and that of the Board of Trustees, is always or should always be to increase the public's access to justice. There can be no detriment to allowing a person with a fee dispute in Orange County access to multiple mandatory fee arbitration programs in order to resolve any fee dispute that they may have. That is what our proposed rule does. Our program provides cheaper filing fees, fee waivers actually provided by our rules, an incredibly diverse panel of free volunteers and arbitrators, as well as geographic proximity. Our desire to handle those disputes is not based on some antiquated territorial divisions.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
It is based on our goal to provide comprehensive community-based services irrespective of a person's residence or unhoused status. I respectfully request that the Board of Trustees consider our rules and approve them, including that portion indicated in our July 14th letter, allowing us to handle matters originating in Orange County. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I will note that the Executive Committee doesn't have an item on its agenda related to that. The Regulation and Discipline Committee, which will convene after this meeting, does. You are more than welcome to address that committee at that time as well, but you certainly don't need to, just a recommendation or suggestion. Anybody else from the public to speak?
We do not see any additional members of the public.
Okay, great. I will forego a chair's oral report for the one that I will do at the full board meeting. It takes us to the consent calendar. Does any member of the committee seek to have a question or pull an item from the consent calendar? Seeing and hearing none, may I have a motion?
I'll move
This
the
is Brandon,
consent
I'll move
calendar. Or I'll second.
I've got a motion by Cisneros, a second by Stallings. May I have the roll, please?
Chen,
Yes.
Cisneros,
Aye.
Delenn,
Yes.
Sol,
Aye.
Stallings.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. That takes us to item 3A, a discussion on the Executive Director Performance Evaluation. And we have Ms. Wilson and Mr. Mazer. It looks like we'll let Ms. Wilson go first, I guess.
No, I was just going to say while Steve is coming up, go ahead, Steve.
I mean, this is a very simple informational update just about the process and timing of the Executive Director Performance Evaluation. Everything is explained in detail in the agenda item memo. So if I'm happy to summarize and take discussion if necessary, or I'm happy to just open it up to questions, if any. How would you like to proceed?
A brief summary would be appreciated, and if any trustees have questions, they can just chime in at any time.
Okay, this will be very brief. It is time for the Executive Committee to conduct the Executive Director Annual Performance Evaluation. A key component of that evaluation is a 360-degree survey that solicits feedback from the board, staff, and others. We have an organizational consultant who helped us with the last survey. She provided guidance in developing the survey questions, and she had a very efficient process for administering the survey, collating the results, and presenting them in a very user-friendly report that I believe the previous board found very helpful. The same consultant is on board and ready to get started again. We do have draft questions modeled after the last survey. Those are attached to the agenda item memo. They're based on both performance objectives that the board set for the executive director and on leadership competencies. So with this committee's agreement, the plan would be for me to work with the consultant and with the chair and vice chair to finalize the survey, then coordinate with the consultant for the administration of the survey and presentation of the results to this committee. The survey would be conducted in August so that the executive committee can discuss the results and prepare the performance evaluation for presentation to the full board at its September meeting. So that is the sort of long and short of it. Happy to open it up to questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mazer. Any questions for Mr. Mazer, trustees?
Arnie, I just have a quick question. Is the performance evaluation done in closed session or an open session at the September meeting?
Closed session.
Did you get that, Mr. Trustee Sewell? It's done in closed session?
I did. Thank you.
Great.
This
Any
is
other
simply an
questions?
update about the process. So
Sure, yeah, I think it's good to be open and transparent about the process we'll engage in, but of course, it's a personnel matter, and so employees are entitled to privacy under state law, and we certainly want to have a productive discussion with Ms. Wilson in closed session at the appropriate time. Any other questions or comments from the trustees? Thank you, Mr. Mazer.
Excellent.
There's no action necessary from the board on this. We'll move on. Item 3B is approval of the 2022 work plans for the Committee of Bar Examiners and the Council on Access and Fairness. Ms. Hershkowitz, this is your item. Good to see you.
Thank you so much. The agenda item, I think, lays out pretty clearly what you have in front of you today. Work plans for the remainder of 2022 for the Committee of Bar Examiners and the Council on Access and Fairness. And so in light of where we are time-wise, I think I will go ahead and just ask you if you have any questions about either of these work plans that I can answer for you. Otherwise, would request your approval.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Hershkowitz. The written materials were very well presented. Trustees, any questions for Ms. Hershkowitz on this item?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, go ahead, Brandon.
I just want to say it's not a question, but just a comment on, I really feel like COAF's work plan tracks with the discussion that we had during our planning session, their leadership for their articulation of these goals that we laid out as leaders. And so thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Stallings. I will offer just one other commentary, and that is not only to thank the staff for their work, but the the volunteers who work on these important committees. Certainly, the work plan is an important piece of the trajectory moving forward, and didn't want to lose the chance to recognize and appreciate them for the work that they offer to the state bar and to the people of the state of California. So without any questions, can I have a motion to approve the work plans, please?
It's
There's
Jose,
a
I'll move
resolution
approval.
on the screen.
Thank you. I'll move approval.
This is Brandon, I'll second.
Second by Stallings. May we have the roll call, please?
Chen,
Yes.
Cisneros,
Aye.
Delenn,
Yes.
Sol,
Aye.
Stallings,
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays, the motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Item C is the approval of the 2022-23 Finance Committee Work Plan, which I understand has a little change to it. Trustee Sewell, as the chair of that committee, are you prepared?
I am prepared to present. Can folks hear me?
Yes, we can, sir.
Okay, very good. I would just make note that in the item itself, it does reference, I know in one of the paragraphs, the Audit Committee Work Plan, and just, I don't think it has any sort of bearing on the actual resolution, but just would make that note that that was probably a typo in the background. But this is a fairly standard 2022-23 Finance Committee Work Plan. It's based on the work of the Finance Committee, largely nested in the work that we do around reviewing the board's financials on a quarterly basis. However, I would make sort of 3 notes that I would highlight for the exec committee relative to the work plan. And Mr. Chair, you did make note of one change. The two areas that I would sort of highlight is that the work plan does incorporate a review of the board's investment policy with an eye towards trying to diversify where it is that the board invests its money with the thought that we can do a better job trying to engage with entities that may have some more socially responsible sort of investment policies, as well as diversity in the entities in which we sort of invest our money. Secondly, I would say it incorporates the work that we need to do leading up to and sort of post the sale of the building on Howard Street. And then the change that you noted, Mr. Chair, is that in our meeting earlier today, there was a recommendation made and accepted that we should do a fee analysis, that the Finance Committee should do its fee analysis instead of on a 5-year basis, on a 2-year basis. And that fee analysis should start in 2023 or no later than the month of sort of December. And so that is the change to the work plan. It was unanimously approved. Happy to answer any questions, and would just urge an aye vote.
Thank you, Trustee Sewell. Any questions? None in the room, none on the screen. Then the amendment is noted as recommended by the Finance Committee. Can I get a motion on that amended resolution, please?
I'll make the motion as amended.
I second.
Thank you. Motion by Cisneros, second by Delenn. Can I have the roll?
Chen,
Yes.
Cisneros,
Aye.
Delenn,
Yes.
Sol,
Aye.
Stallings,
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays, the motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Item 3D is approval of the 2023-2022 Audit Committee Work Plan. I see Trustee Shelby has come into the room, which is auspicious timing, as this is her item along with Mr. Ewert. Can we have a staff report, please? Or a chair's report? Is it staff or chair?
I'm not sure if Justin is here.
Ah,
I am here.
Okay, great.
Took off my jacket because I wasn't sure I was coming back on.
Good to see you, sir.
To see you. Is Trustee Shelby there or?
Here to pinch hit with you, sir.
Okay. The audit committee adopted its work plan, and there were three major changes to the work plan that I will highlight briefly for the executive committee. The one change was changing the mission advancement and accountability division item to an Office of Compliance item. The Office of Compliance, there was a presentation that they're going to build that out within the bar to follow up on more audits and enhance our compliance feature. And then there were two items that were added to the work plan. One was the public trust liaison, and this has been previously discussed as an ombudsman, but has been really changed to a public trust liaison, and that is going to be added to the audit committee. And this position will be reporting to the audit committee annually. It can report in the interim, but will be completing a report to the audit committee on what it does as its functions and suggested changes and other things. And then the third or the second item that was added to the work plan was an organizational audit with a focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And all of this is in the agenda item that has been provided to the committee.
And I would offer that the other piece that was added to the resolution that was amended today was an item in the work plan to focus on crisis communications. And so as it relates to the internal controls around crisis communications and how we are addressing that. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Shelby. Thank you to the committee and Trustee Chen for that addition on the crisis communications. I saw that discussion and thought it was well taken. Any questions or comments for either Ms. Shelby or Mr. Ewart? Seeing and hearing none, may I have a motion on the amended resolution, please?
This is Chen, so moved.
Cisneros, I'll second.
Motion by Chen, second by Cisneros. Can I have the roll, please?
Chen,
Yes.
Cisneros,
Aye.
Delenn,
Yes.
Sol,
Aye.
Stallings.
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays, the motion carries.
Thank you. Takes us to item 3E, the approval of the annual appointment of officers and members of State Bar sub-entities. Once again, Ms. Shelby with Ms. Aripatian.
And I just wanted to tee this item up and just say thank you. You know, as a public member, this is the second opportunity that I've had to serve as it relates to the appointment liaison, and building on the success of last year, really working with Louisa and the team around how do we increase representation of public members, how do we increase outreach. And so we started this process really early on. We started this process at the end of last year, kind of learning from what transpired last year, and then really cast an extremely wide net, and she's going to talk about that. But as the result of that, we saw a significant increase in public member interest as it relates to different committees, particularly like Jenny and others. And one of the things that we realized is that moving forward, what would be really helpful, and so we look forward to you all endorsing the recommendations that come in front of you this afternoon. But what we look forward to in terms of learning moving forward is really having the commissions define what the ideal candidate is for them, because that way we have the opportunity to go even deeper and extend our networks even further to say, if this is the level of expertise, you know, the level of expertise that you need from a licensee, from an attorney. Well, what's the level of expertise? What's the level of engagement that you need from a public member? But very excited about the appointments that reside in front of you, and I'm going to hand it over to Louisa.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Shelby. It's been a pleasure to work with you on this appointment cycle. So as Ms. Trustee Shelby mentioned, we launched an extensive recruitment strategy for this cycle, and we received a record number of applications. We received 121 from attorney applicants and 38 from non-attorney applicants, and that is also a record number of applications. And what staff did is they prepared a detailed overview of the demographic information and presented that to Trustee Shelby as the board's appointments liaison. And The resolutions that I will present in front of you today request that the board appoint officers and new members to several different committees and commissions. I won't name them all. They are detailed in your agenda item memo.
Thank you, Ms. Arapetian. Thank you, Trustee Shelby, both of you for that incredible work. It's gratifying to hear record numbers of applicants and interest, and I suspect that will only lay the foundation for even more so moving forward. So kudos to you and thank you. Thank you for the detailed work and the staff report as well. You can see lots of names there, a lot of representation from various parts of the state. Trustee Shelby, you have something to add?
Yes, and then I also want to thank the staff of the State Bar who lead these various committees and commissions, because we did work in collaboration together, but they did the initial work as it related to really looking at the composition of their commissions and looking at the needs that existed. And so definitely wanted to highlight the work that they did, because it allowed our work. Yes, we focused on outreach, but it allowed our work in relation to the applicants that they brought forward. So we appreciate that partnership.
And I'd just like to quickly highlight for the public that there is, and the board, there is a hyperlink in this agenda item to a workbook that contains, really for the first time, very publicly, the demographic information of every one of our sub-entities, what the impact will be of the recommended appointments on the composition. And in that demographics, they include the public versus attorney membership, as well as obviously race and gender. So I think it's wonderful to be able to provide that information publicly as well.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Absolutely concur with that. And I echo the thanks of Trustee Shelby to all the folks who have worked so hard on all of the various phases and aspects of this important function of the State Bar. Any other questions from any of the trustees? Seeing and hearing none, may I have a motion on the resolution as presented?
Cisneros, I'll move the motion.
Ellen seconds.
Thank you. Motion by Cisneros, second by Delen. May we have the roll?
Chen,
Yes.
Cisneros,
Aye.
Delenn,
Yes.
Sol,
Aye.
Stallings.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to recuse myself based upon a personal relationship with an applicant.
So noted. Thank you, Trustee Stallings.
4 ayes, 0 nays, the motion carries. 1 recusal, the motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Takes us to our final item on the Executive Committee agenda today, item F, the approval of the annual appointment of State Bar delegates to the American Bar Association House of Delegates, or the HOD, as so pointed out in the staff report. Ms. Arapatian, we have a report from you, please.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, and committee members. This agenda item is the annual appointment of State Bar delegate to the ABA House of Delegates. The State Bar appoints 4 delegates to the ABA House of Delegates. The terms of 3 of the 4 House of Delegates seats will expire in August of 2022. Each delegate can serve up to 3 2-year terms for a total of 6 years. These seats are filled by Donna Hershkowitz, Gonzalo Torres, and Toby Rothschild. This agenda item requests the reappointment of Toby Rothschild. Donna Hershkowitz and Gonzalo Torres do not seek additional terms in the House of Delegates role. Toby Rothschild is of counsel to One Justice, providing ethics training and counseling to legal services and programs. He has been an active member of the State Bar and the ABA for over 50 years and has participated in committees of both, as well as local and county bars. As a longtime legal services attorney and advocate for access to justice, Toby Rothschild brings a unique and critically important perspective between his access to justice background and background in professional ethics and lawyer regulation. He has experience and deep expertise in operational cores to the State Bar's mission. The resolution presented to you today recommends the reappointment of Toby Rothschild to a second 2-year term as a State Bar delegate to the American Bar Association's House of Delegates.
Thank you, Madam Secretary, and please do not check your sets or your hearing. You did hear correctly. That is a 50-year record of service in various capacities on Mr. Rothschild's part. It should not go unnoticed that is a tremendous commitment to the welfare and the well-being of these people in the state and to lawyers in particular. So Mr. Rothschild, if you're listening, thank you very much. Any questions or comments for the secretary? Ms. Hershkowitz, thank you for your service on the House of Delegates as well. And Mr. Torres? Can we have a motion?
Cisneros, so moved.
Sowell seconds.
Motion by Cisneros, second by Sewell. May we have the roll?
Chen,
Yes.
Cisneros,
Aye.
Delenn,
Yes.
Sol,
Aye.
Stallings.
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays. The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. That is the last item under our agenda, as there is no closed session for the Executive Committee. Accordingly, I will adjourn, and we'll take up RAD, I think.
Can we take a 5-minute break before we start RAD? Because I know some folks have been going for a long time.
Absolutely. Thanks.
So we will start, should we say we start at 3:40?